This is when it really gets tense. Only 4 teams remain in the biggest club competition in the world, and we're not far away from kick-off in the first leg. It's coming up live. Welcome everyone on a perfect night for football with the floodlights beaming down. I'm Derek Ray and I'm joined here on the gantry for commentary by Stuart Robson. And tonight we've got the semi-final of the Champions League coming up for you. It's PSV and they take on Arsenal.
Well, Derek, it could be cagey.
Hello, welcome back to Armchair Armoury, and we return to the Champions League. In theory, and I say this with big, massive, incredibly capital letters, in theory, this is the only competition realistically that we can go for and try and win. We're not going to, but this is, in theory, the competition we can try and win. So we've drawn PSV, a team that I'm kind of sick and tired of us playing, but it is what it is. We've been drawn with them at the, I don't know if it's still called the Philips Arena, but yeah, their stadium. Because on EAFC, the sim you're watching out now, they call it the PSV Stadion. But when I was a kid, it used to be, well, I imagine it still is, the Philips Arena. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one, I think. I think for those Arsenal fans that felt like this was an easy tie, because obviously we've had success against this team in the past. They're obviously not aware or not taking into consideration the state that our team is in at the moment. You know, we're trying to navigate this Champions League with no striker, no properly in form attacking line at this moment. I wouldn't be surprised if Arteta plays Mikel Merino up front on Tuesday, just because he's done it in the last 2 games. Obviously, we've had 2 quite well. West Ham, I didn't see West Ham, as I mentioned, but the sort of discourse that came out of it is that it was a sort of pathetic, toothless performance. And then I did see as you know, because of the reaction coming out, I did see the 0-0 draw with Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. It was a better performance than I can imagine West Ham was, but it was still toothless in attack. It was still I'm not going to go as far as to say lackluster, because that would be reactionary and over the top. It was an attacking performance that you would expect from a team that doesn't have a striker or doesn't have properly fit attackers or properly in-form attackers. You know, the only person that's really like properly in form, if you could say that, in our attacking line is Mwaneri. Trossard, wouldn't say he's out of form, but he's not necessarily like playing amazingly at the moment. And then obviously Sterling is when Sterling was playing, he still can't really find that form. You know, Marino was a bit of a whim, a bit of a Arteta to some extent. You could say it was just, I said it after the Leicester game, I maybe just said it in the height of emotion, but it was a little bit of a stroke of genius by let me rephrase that, a stroke of unfounding genius from Arteta to put Marino up front, and it worked for him against Leicester. It didn't work against West Ham, and it didn't work against Forest. And I don't think it's going to work in the Champions League either. The most I think we've got to try and do in this game, I've heard a lot of Arsenal fans, you know, the sort of famous fans online saying that basically we need to stink the place out and get out of Eindhoven with a 0-0 draw and see what we can do when we bring it back to the Emirates. Because I think now, you know, even this, as I said at the beginning, even this game is going to be tough. Even this game is going to be a game where, you know, without Martinelli, Saka, with even Havertz, Jesus, where are the goals going to come from? Ødegaard's really out of form at the moment. The only players that seem to be playing well are the defence. Most of the defence are playing pretty well. All 4 of them that have played regularly this season. That's Saliba, Gabriel, Timber, and Mars Lewis-Skelly. I don't actually know whether Mars Lewis-Skelly will play in this game because I don't know whether the red card that he got against West Ham goes over into the UEFA competitions. But yeah, so they've played all right. I mean, Partey's been pretty good this season. Declan Rice has gotten better. I hear he was awful against West Ham, but I think for some reason he just hasn't got over that hoodoo yet of like playing West Ham, because I think it's 2 years in a row now against West Ham he's not played very well, particularly in the home fixture at the Emirates. Yeah, and Ødegaard's been he's had a couple of games here and there where he's been outstanding, almost unplayable, but he's not been the same player that he was last season, put it that way. Yeah, so we've not been in great form in general this season. Added to the fact that we haven't strengthened properly. I don't necessarily have a problem with the signings of Calafiori and Merino. I don't necessarily think we needed them. Sterling, I was a little bit more sort of like, I mean, when it happened, I was like, okay, fine. It's not great, but Raheem Sterling's a good player, and hopefully he'll come good in the team. And he's obviously played with Arteta. He's played under Arteta before when he was the assistant at City. But yeah, that just hasn't happened, and it's been an absolute flop. And yeah, we're sort of paying for it now. Sorry for the beeping if you can hear that. That's my dishwasher telling me it's done. Yeah, it's been, and then obviously we didn't sign anybody in January, which is left us pretty much in the shit for the rest of the season. We've got a couple of really hard games coming up in the next couple of weeks in the Premier League as well. We've got Man United on Sunday at Old Trafford, regardless of the fact that they're not doing too great at the moment. Currently sitting in 15th or 14th in the league. They've sacked a manager this season. They only signed one player. He was sent off against Everton. And no, not Everton. No, it wasn't Everton, was it? It was Ipswich. He was sent off against Ipswich, and won't play for 3 games now. The football's not too great. Ruben Amorim sticking to this 3 at the back, 2 wing backs formation that the players don't seem to be getting on with at the moment. But I still have a feeling, even though things aren't going well there, I have a feeling because it's at home, they will turn up against us. Like they were bad last season, and that penultimate game that took it to the last day with Man City, when we were at home to Everton and they were at home to West Ham, away to West Ham. They gave us a game. They had Casemiro at centre back, they had Sofiane Amrabat in midfield. And they gave us a game, and we only came out with a 1-0 win in the end. So I can imagine a similar thing happening again, where it will be a tough one. It will be the type of game that, as we've seen this season, we've seen since Ruben Amorim's taken over, we've seen him. I think they drew against Liverpool and beat City, and those are sort of like the highlights of his tenure so far. And I can just imagine the same thing happening again with us. And even what's worse is the fact that we can't score at the moment, and all it takes is Garnacho or Fernandes to get a chance, and it's 1-0, and all they need to do is defend the rest of the game, and then that's it. And then we've got Chelsea at home, who also haven't been in the best of form at the moment. They lost 2-1 their last game. They lost 2-1 to Aston Villa, which is ironic because the 2 loan signings that have come in for Aston Villa both on the score sheet. Either on the score sheet or no. Well, Asensio scored 2 goals and Rashford assisted both goals, I think. So yeah, and that's going to be difficult as well. And again, I can imagine it's the type of game where Chelsea all of a sudden decide that they can play well again. So yeah, it's not boding well for the rest of the season. And I'm not going to continue to keep going on about it, but whoever has been in charge of this whole transfer recruitment process, whether it be Josh Kroenke, whether it be Jason Ato, whether it be Mikel Arteta, whoever, collectively, they've really messed this up. And I think next season, everyone's going to be under fire. There's going to be a scope pointing at all of them. Obviously, it will probably all fall on the manager, and he probably will, if things go badly, probably will be out of a job. But yeah, this is what's happened. I feel like the club have thrown the season, or all but thrown the season, because, you know, if we somehow manage to miraculously win the Champions League, you know, even if we get through PSV, we're going to play one of the Madrid teams, and I think after that it's either PSG or Liverpool. So, and I know we've already beaten PSG this season, Paris Saint-Germain, but you know, we did that with our full-strength squad for starting 11. But let's say miraculously we do we do what Chelsea did in 2021, and or 2020, whenever it was, when Havertz scored, and we somehow manage to win the Champions League. They will think, well, you know, we invested in that hope and it paid off. But that doesn't take away the fact that, like, we could have done a lot better. I mean, winning a Champions League is nothing to be sniffed at when you haven't won in Europe for, you know, I mean, no one really knows in the lower generations now about Arsenal's win in the Cup Winners' Cup. But yeah, it's too much to gamble on. That's the thing. It's too much to gamble on to be like, yes, and I take into consideration, and my head's sort of flitting around here, I take into consideration that before the transfer window closed, nobody knew that Martinelli and Havertz were going to go down injured. No one knew that. But at the same time, it's too much to gamble anyway, even before that, to think, oh, it's fine, we'll just go with what we've got. We needed something. And it's just a huge disappointment that we didn't manage to bring somebody in, and we didn't manage to strengthen the squad. It's left us in a very dire straits at this moment in time, footballing wise. But you've got to take these things on the chin. There's nothing most of us can really do about it. I mean, I'm too far away from the stadium to join any sort of protest or anything like that, if that's what they're planning. Some of the fans are planning. But yeah, I don't expect a good performance on Tuesday. I'm hoping we get out of there with something, but let's see. That's all we can do. I think I said this after the what was it? I think it was before the Leicester game. I said, after the January transfer window, I said, be prepared for every game between now and the end of the season to be either a snooze fest or you're on the edge of your seat because you don't know which way it's going to go. It's going to be one of those ones. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I will be back up. I'll be back after the game on Tuesday. Like and subscribe as always. I'll try and remain positive. Probably when I'm actually watching the game, I will. But right now, I don't hold much hope. I hope you hold more hope than I do. Take care and stay safe.
Now they're going to alter things. Here's the substitution. Time for a change then. Playing it in. And that's very confident goalkeeping in not easy circumstances. Teal. Bakayoko. Well, making considerable progress with the ball. That's a good-looking ball. Ball is loose. restored. Will it lead to the goal that puts them ahead? And the keeper throws himself at the ball. And the pass not finding its target. Mikel Merino. Martin Ødegaard. Arsenal remain on the front foot. Can they find a winning goal? Well, it didn't go to plan in the end. Could be a chance to break here. Noah Lang. Lang. Who can he pick out? What can they do from this corner? The minutes. To be a lot better than that. Didn't really make the keeper work. Well, nowhere close to the goal when all was said and done.
Well, from that sort of position, you should really be testing the goalkeeper. Has to hit the target. It's not a good attempt.
Martin Ødegaard. And a strong tackle. All even, but will it stay that way? De Jong. Gives them a go. Trying to open the scoring, and you've got to describe it as a chance.
Well, they just can't break the deadlock, can they? That was a decent opportunity.
So 2 minutes to be added on at the end. Declan Rice. This is looking threatening. And he might be through here. And up for grabs off the keeper. And that will be all for this first leg. No winners, no losers. It was entertaining despite the lack of goals. Stuart, they'll do it again in the second leg.
Well, it was tight, it was hard fought, and it was a good tactical battle. But unfortunately, there wasn't enough guile in the attacking areas from either team. Hopefully, the second leg will provide goals and a bit more entertainment.
Well, truth be told, his influence on this game has been very limited. What have you made of his performance, Stuart?
Well, he didn't have his best game, but he still had one or two good moments, enough to get his team a draw.